Okay, so I hope you had the opportunity to watch the first introduction of video where I share my story about how to build a business from home like Amazon. This is a continuation. This is part 2 of it. And as I mentioned before, spent 20 years United States Marines, first Gulf War vet, 20 years as a high school math teacher, had prostate cancer, and I wind up having to retire from teaching early, but might as well has been because I started teaching at 50 and retired at 70. Okay. And I'm about ready to turn 72. So, but I'm not done yet. And I'm on another mission, and I write books. And one of my latest books is called Against the Odds, Chronicles of Resilience, but it's titled Shattered Chains. And it's talking about a group of high school kids and everything else. When the math teacher asked them, the student said, when am I ever going to use this? And the teacher starts to explain it, but then the kids start realizing that what they really want was some real life, true lessons about how do we use math to better our lives. In other words, to actually, even more so, how do we use math to make sure that we don't go into debt and have to be paying on student loans for 30 years. That's what they really wanted. Okay. So as a result, that is why I am here. That is why I am continuing on this mission. And I'm understanding truly and feeling how Jeff Bezos thought when he quit his job as a finance guy, probably on Wall Street, and he quit his job and packed up and moved everything to Seattle, Washington. So I'm not building mine out of my garage. I'm not selling books, but even though I do sell books on Amazon, and that's sort of my connection, but I'm looking to go to the next step. But the only way to get there, I realize, is that I have to help others. And that's what everything is. That is exactly what is consuming my life. So part of that, I did research to understand exactly how Jeff Bezos got started, what was the underlying principles and guidance that was going to help his business grow. Starting out in the garage of an online book company out of his garage. Didn't even have desks. They used doors on top of trash cans as their desk to remind them of how scrappy that they needed to be. Okay, so those early days, I am here by myself, working out of my home office. And this is my approach. And I'm going to build something bigger than myself. I want to build something that's for legacy. So in order to do that, I understand that you have to have your foundation. A foundation begins with your belief system, etc. I had to change my mindset. And creating these videos is helping me change my mindset. But hopefully I'm reaching out to a few of you out there that want to change and want to come and join me, because that's what this is. It's an invitation to be part of something as a movement, to help people not be stuck paying on student loans or be trapped to credit card debt up to 30 years of their life, of how to change that. In order to do that, you have to think outside the box and not do things like everybody else. If you're doing what everybody else is doing, that means that you're broke just like them. And if you want to change your life and change things, you got to start thinking with an entrepreneur mindset. So this video, enough on that. It's an introduction. I needed to do that to get myself warmed up. But this is about Teach, Lead, and Inspire. Over 2 years ago, I started my Teach, Lead, and Inspire Instagram page. And also a year later, my Facebook page. Didn't know exactly. I kept on changing things until I focused. But right now, I am really laser focused on exactly what I built. I've already laid my foundation is there. And now this is time to build up. Okay, so this is about Teach, Lead, and Inspire Leadership Principles. They are inspired by Amazon, but they're built for legacy educators and wellness builders. First, student and customer obsession. Amazon had a principle about customer obsession. They actually had an obsession over customers. To get that their experience had to be something that was so inviting that they will always come back. I am an Amazon customer. I have been buying relentlessly. It's almost every other week that we're buying things continuously, and I've been a customer. Why? Because I like the experience. If something was broke, I can easily return it back to them. No question asked, easy return policy, some of the best things. So anyway, I fully understand because I'm a customer and I want to build a business like that. But more importantly, I need to be able to teach my team people how to build a business just like that. And that's what I'm doing. I am leading by example. So student and customer obsession. Okay. Principle number 1. Okay. So the version for me is really to serve people before you sell to them. Okay. I'm going to say this again. It's to serve people before you sell to them. So the greatest leaders don't chase attention. They solve pain. Okay, I'm going to say it again. The greatest leaders don't chase attention. They solve pain. So, and you lead by asking these questions. What keeps them up at night? What do they need most right now? And how can I make their life easier? Now, leadership must begin with empathy. Okay. And those are questions. What keeps them up at night? What do they need right now? And how can I make their life easier? So this is the leadership. Okay. Number 2, we need to think long-term legacy. I'm thinking about creating generational wealth. So in order to do that, I'm thinking about creating a 7-figure income. In order to do that, I need to build something for generations, not quick wins. I want to build something such that it impacts forever. My kids, which are in their 40s now, up to 50, if I want to impact here during this next 5 years financially, something to get them what they can get out of their poverty mindset and change and join me and wake up, then that's what I want to do. But in either case, I'm not waiting because I'm going to build something that's going to be there so I can impact my grandkids. The grandkids are the ones that right now are still young. One of my oldest is ever like 23, 24, 25 years old right now. I've kind of lost the track. But the thing is, I have time. I can impact her life before she gets 30. Okay, so that's what this vision is. So our version is right now, build for generations, not quick. See, Amazon didn't start with get rich fast. They started with a vision. Become the most trusted place on earth to buy. That's what Amazon is. So I need to build this. I am building a model for financial freedom for teachers and moms and veterans. Those are the groups. And I want to build focusing on wellness stability for families, that they need to understand that wellness is outside of the doors of your local grocery store and your local drugstore. Okay. And wealth, you need to understand, I want to help them create a wealth pathway for the next generation. Okay. A wealth pathway for their grandkids to change. And unless they need to realize, unless they make changes, unless you make changes, there's no way for that to affect. So we're going to build financial freedom for teachers. We're going to do wellness stability for families. We're going to do wealth pathways. We're going to build what we call legacy leaders. And that's what I'm looking for people to join on my team. And I have a sense of urgency because I'm 72 years old. But legacy, that's what we want. Systems, number 3. Systems over hustle. Amazon's principle says to invent and simplify. I'm a big proponent of that. When I decided to start building this business, as I started, the one thing I wanted to do was not to work harder. I wanted to work smarter. I didn't want to be on the phone bugging people. I didn't want to be going to meetings and working all these hours. I didn't want a job. I wanted something that I can do, that I needed to simplify, that can fit with people with busy schedule. Who are the busy teachers, fellow educators and stuff like I have, that I don't want them to be able to go into retirement with student loans. Why? Instead, what I want them to do is be able to take 30 minutes to 60 minutes a day, working in a system that can allow them to make the extra income to get themselves out of their debt and enter into retirement with the money that they need. So in order to do that, as a leader, what I've done for the last 545 days is to look at creating a system. Okay. So most people burn out. And here's the thing. We don't just work harder. We want to build smarter. Most people burn out because they rely on motivation. But leaders create systems, create funnels, automation, simplify the daily actions, repeatable mentorship, pathways. And my message is simple. Follow the system until it carries you. Understand? Follow the system until it carries you. And I'll continue this in another session as we go for. Number 4, integrity builds trust. Amazon principle says earn trust. My version is that trust is the real currency here. People don't follow the loudest voice. They follow the most consistent one. So leadership means doing what you say, showing up with honesty, guiding people with clarity, and putting relationships before transactions so that trust turns customers into a community. Remember, as I mentioned before, that what he did, he started just with books out of a garage. And as a result, but then we added CDs and other items in there. It's like once you build that audience that trusts you, all you got to do is drop items in. And guess what? You'll get your sales. Just like McDonald's. I remember McDonald's just had a hamburger and a cheeseburger. But now you go into McDonald's, they got hamburgers and cheeseburgers. They got chicken. They got filet of fish. They got salads. They got coffee. All of those items in there. So instead of just coming and getting a hamburger, a hamburger or a cheeseburger, maybe somebody doesn't like it, they're vegan. But guess what? If you're vegan, you can go in and get coffee, or you could also go into McDonald's and get a vegetable. Go ahead and get yourself a salad. In other words, trust will turn customers into a community. Okay. Doing what we say, showing up with honesty. This is part of the reason of this leadership is why I must, on a consistent basis, start to begin the math that builds wealth, live events on every week. That's building trust. That's the main purpose of this vehicle. The Facebook, the Instagram account, Teach, Lead, and Inspire, is already set up and established. And it has information on wellness, education, and it's done it every single day. The same thing is in here on my Teach, Lead, and Inspire page. There's wellness information that's being posted, and I'm doing the leadership, and that's being done every single week with consistency. Okay. So leadership principle number 5, mentorship is the multiplier. See, Amazon has a principle that says hire and develop the best. So my approach on this business, when I started on this wellness business, was I had 2 ways of thinking. One way of thinking was that I was going to just go out and talk to friends and family, and you know how that goes. That don't really work very well. But I was going to go ahead, and I could do that. I could go to the grocery store or go to anything else, or go out in clubs or whatever, and talk to all sorts of people and stuff. But then all I'm getting are just customers or just tire kickers. I want to build a business that lasts a lifetime. And my lifetime in this case, I'm 72. I want to start enjoying things here within 12 months. I'm busting my butt in order to do this, working hard for the 3 years. So what I'm doing as I've started out is intentionally doing the opposite of what others. I wanted to build something that had the foundation here. And I knew that in order to build, and here's the key, in order to be successful, I wanted a model that all you needed was 100 customers to be able to create a 6-figure income. I say again, to create a system where I could train someone to get 100 customers over what time frame, that's up to them. But let's say 100 customers over 3 years, 30 customers, 2 customers a month. To do that over a period consistently, that will help them get to a six-figure income. And you're thinking, how could 100 customers get you to a six-figure income? I don't understand. You're right. You don't understand. You need to join my team, but I'll teach you that principle and so that you understand. Okay. So, but here it is. See, my job is to raise leaders, not to collect followers. I say again, my job is to raise leaders, not collect followers. See, Amazon scaled their business through teams, but I'm going to scale through mentorship, okay? Because a true leader says, I'm not going to leave you stranded. I will show you the path, and you can do this with support. Your success is not going to be measured by your income in the beginning. My success is going to be measured by how many lives, how many people's lives, livelihoods, lifestyles I can elevate. Okay? Every time I can get one person to pay off their student loans and get out of the debt trap, that is the success. That is what I'm going to measure. My income becomes later, and that's the focus. My focus is to eliminate the pain. Eliminate the pain. So in this video, I talked about the principles that were inspired by Amazon, but went specifically over the ones for Teach, Lead, and Inspire. Number one, we need to serve people before we sell to them. Number two, we need to build for generations and not quick wins. Number three, don't just work harder, we're going to build smarter. And number four, trust is the real currency. And number five, my job is to raise leaders and not to collect followers, because mentorship is the multiplier. And this comes up with the final thing to end this video. The Jordan Leadership Code is this. I'm going to serve deeply. I'm going to think long. I'm going to build systems. I'm going to lead with integrity. And I am going to multiply through mentorship. Multiply through mentorship. This is Dr. Jordan Smith. Thank you for listening. There's a link below if you want to go ahead and get started and participate. And again, I'm going to educate you first before I ever charge you any money. Haha, there we go. Anyway, that's it. This is Jordan.